the outdoor game, and it's a game. You have a lot of, you have a lot, not a lot. You have some out there who will take advantage, and they'll say, well, I'm going to do so and so. They don't do it. Then you come behind and you want to do something, and then it's kind of like, well, so and so just messed with me, so to speak. And it's hard to overcome that. But I've always overcome it because I've always come through. Whatever I promised, I've always come through. Always tried to write more than one story on one trip for people. That way I can give them as much coverage as possible. And when you do 3 or 4 magazine stories one place, you talk out multi-thousands of dollars worth of free advertisement. And they're appreciative of all this. And a lot of them become your buddies.
Well, you asked for it, so I'm going to give it to you. I've got my dad, old Papa Duck. We're down here at the fishing pond. We did a little fishing therapy today. Caught a few fish, wasn't really that much, weren't biting. But we just had a good time, caught a few fish and whatnot. But on the last video that I did, a lot of you guys have sent in questions that you wanted to ask Papa Duck, and that you wanted to hear some more stories. So we're going to start off with the questions first. Are you about ready?
Rock and roll.
All right. So back when you started duck hunting, what was the gear that you had to have? What was the must-have type gear?
There really wasn't that much to have. There was no Gore-Tex, nothing of that. You wore 2 pair of blue jeans, a couple pair of socks. Decoys almost unheard of. They came out with these deeps, and they're kind of inflated and put them on the water, but they were trouble to take care of. You had to put powder and stuff. Now, what's hard to believe, like hunting in Bacala, you didn't need decoys. You didn't need them at all. I mean, the ducks were there. The ducks were the decoys. And so we really didn't use decoys.
So all this fancy gear that we have nowadays, it wasn't even, well, of course we didn't even have it, but
it didn't even exist.
You're right.
I mean, you had old ducks back hunting coat, you freezing that, ducks back hunting hat, and, cotton gloves that you wore. You didn't have Gore-Tex, and it'd be so cold, you'd take 2 thumbs to push the safety off the trigger. You just push and push, and old paper shells, they get wet and get logged in the barrel, just everything. But tell the truth, in a way, I think it was more fun.
Right.
Because we didn't have
it. It was more simple.
We didn't have all this stuff.
It was just simple.
Yeah,
and
went in Bacala, the first thing you did was you just fell in the water and got it over with.
So let me ask you real quick, while we're talking about gear, and when you started, you didn't have waders, did you, or did you just use hip boots?
Hip boots. That's all we had. I didn't have a pair of waders. I was a grown man.
Yeah.
I bought my first pair of waders on Broad Street. William Davis was selling them. He worked at a drugstore. Had a little sporting goods thing going there, and it cost me $11. Hodgman waders, $11.
Wow.
The first pair. The first waders were these old black waders that were about that thick. They used to go to B&H filling station every day, because I hunted every day. They put a tire patch on it every day. At the end of one season, I had 27 tire patches on a pair of waders.
Old black rubber waders.
They just rip on you. They never dried out, and then I'd go home and put them inside out and put them in front of an old oil heater, trying to dry those things out. You couldn't get them dried out. First time I put on a real pair of waders, I was uptown. I thought I was somebody.
What about your favorite gun? What was your...
The most favorite gun I ever owned in my life was a Model 12 Winchester pump. 26-inch barrel, improved cylinder. But I had a problem with that gun, and the gun had a problem with me. I was about 17 years old, and I was shooting doves on Brogdon after school. Apparently the firing pin or something stayed out, so when I pumped, boom, it went right in two. I ended up in a canal ditch, and that's about all I remember for a little while. Well, Mr. Reardon actually put that gun back together, and I sold it for $45, and I still cry for selling that.
What?
Then the Sweet 16, ventilated rib, gold trigger, just beautiful gun. I sold that too. I sold just about every gun I ever had for one reason or another.
When you started taking me hunting, we were back in the lead days, and I tell people all the time what my favorite shell was, but what was your favorite duck load?
That's 7.5 brass, 7.5 Mark 5. Oh, that was something on a duck. Boy, you get one.
And that's lead.
Yeah, it was lead.
Yeah, this is way before steel shot and
top of that tree right there. That was a dead bird. And in front of you, why they quit making it, I don't know. But there was a fellow who pushed that. He was a white hunter in Africa. I still see his picture on the shells. He really pushed that shell, and it was hot. So I shot geese with it up on the Outer Banks with a 7.5, and right over the Decoys. Shot everything with it for a long time.
that was a good shell. That was actually my favorite. 7.5 high brass Winchester Western. Super X was the one that because I think the Mark V had already been discontinued by the time I came along. What do you think has been the biggest change that you've seen in duck hunting?
Loss of habitat. We just lost millions of acres in Canada, in the Dakotas. Even on the Atlantic coast, we've lost to shopping malls, housing developments, farms. That's what's really hurting duck hunting a lot. They just don't have the place to breed like they used to. And people talking about changing flyways. I don't know. I'm not a biologist. All I know is it's not what it used to be. But I think the biggest thing is in South Carolina's Santee National Wildlife Refuge, they quit planting. And when they quit planting, the birds quit coming. And that's what the boys around here depended on. Now, all they've got is a bunch of corn ponds with a bunch of tame birds flying around. I call them the phony birds.
What made you want to start writing about the outdoors? What was the pivotal point?
Get out of the restaurant. I mean, of course, it's what I did all my life. So all I did was hunting fish. Yep, before school, after school, during school. That's all I did. I mean, I don't even remember going to school in 12th grade. And they'd ask, where's you at? I said, he was in the swamp hunting. And I said, what are you doing today? And that's what I did. Mama used to write excuses that I was sick. Or something. And you could do it back then.
Right.
And it was so different. Carried guns to school, people hunted, and nobody said anything about it. There's plenty of property to hunt. You can knock on somebody's door, and all that's changing. It's changed for the worst. And, kids coming up now, they're not going to have the opportunity. They're going to have to they're going to have to deal with getting GMAs, and you've got everybody and his brother on a GMA, and you don't know who you're hunting with. And, I mean, they provide a service now, there's no doubt about it. But it's not like, when you get out of school during a dove season, you ride around, and you see a bunch of doves. You didn't ask anybody, you got out and went and shot doves. But you knocked on the farmer's door. Sure, go ahead and shoot doves. Or they'd have a dove shoot on Saturday. Sure, come on. Now, you got a blanche or a dove club, which is going to cost you a lot of money. You got to, in some ways, be in the right crowd to be in these dove clubs. It's changed. I was just fortunate enough that I came along before all that, and I've been able to travel and have people send me places. And, that's what I've enjoyed more than anything else, is travel.
Now, we touched on this a little bit earlier about decoys. You had mentioned the brand name Deek. I believe that's D-E-E-K. I believe it is.
I think that's what they were called.
But I had one question here. It says, what kind of decoys was your favorite? Wood, plastic, or cork, or?
Well, the money it would have been cork. Unless I could have had someone to make them for me. Now, I've seen people have spreads that people have made for them, $200 or $300 a decoy. Absolutely gorgeous now. Well, it actually is better than anything else. I mean, up in James Bay, there had decoys. Joe Carpenter, he was 19 years old. He was a guide. I called him Arctic John, and we're out there shooting. And Arctic John, well, he didn't have any decoys. And so what does he do? He picks up a stick and starts molding clay on the back of a stick till he has a Canada goose decoy. And they came to that just as fast as they came to the herders and everything else. And we shot just as many geese.
Right.
So again, and I remember one time we had an experiment. I can say it now because that's 1,000 years ago. We eased in the back of the refuge one time and took a plastic sheet and put this plastic sheet, read about it, on the ground. When the ducks thought it was water. And right at daylight, they could come right to that plastic sheet and we'd shoot ducks on it. Didn't last for a few minutes. And so
Growing up here in South Carolina, in our hometown of Sumter, and throughout your duck hunting career, we've had several dogs, mostly all of them in labs, but you've had some other dogs when you were growing up. Can you talk about some of your best dogs that you've had?
Two of them. One was a red-eyed setter named Russ. That dog wouldn't hold point, but that was the best on a dead bird, wounded bird. I mean, it was crackerjack. You couldn't, it'd get down to that old wire grass and he'd root that bird out. He was a beautiful, beautiful animal. And I think I bought him for something like $25. And guys, when I was a kid, we went everywhere together. I'm somewhere around town. He was hard-headed. Oh goodness, he was hard-headed. But I was told, I tried to run him in a field trial one time. And a fellow come up to me and said, son, you don't stand a chance. He said, this is English border country. You might as well take that dog and go home right now. It hurt my feelings. And so I ran the dog, and sure enough, I didn't get anything. But what also happened is I'm not a horseman. And the horse left me on a pine tree limb. And only one other time in my life I tried to ride a horse, and I quit riding horses. And I wanted the field trial. I used to go to, well, later on in life I covered field trials all over the Southeast. But I loved field trials. We were doing days old, the Sheriff Burt Parnell and those characters and Urban Brunson and the Pitts Lorm and all these people, and they were all a close knit, and the same dogs won just about every time. One time Sheriff's dog would win, next time Mr. Hodges' dog would win, J.P. Cheney's dog would win, R.P. Skinner's dog. Now we did have 3 big dogs in Sumter. One was the Liver Dan, owned by Ernest Newman, won the Baldwinsville Pheasant Futurity in 1952. That was a super dog. It was Bill Cheney's Watery Jack. It was, and then it was R.P. Skinner's Santee Sam. I mean, there were 3 nationally known dogs. So Sumter was a bird hunting town long before duck hunting. I mean, that's what you did. Didn't have many deer. It seemed like everybody had a bird dog, with good, bad, indifferent, or what. And there was always a place to go bird hunting. And Thanksgiving, you went bird hunting.
Right.
And you couldn't wait summertime to see those little birds running across the sandy road. And it was just exciting. All that changed. You take like here. Up to a few years ago, I used to see a covey of quail all the time. Now, there's a funny story about the pond that Butch McClary told me. That when his granddaddy, Papa, this was about during the 40s or 50s, a man came to him and wanted 12 birds for supper. He had company. So Papa gets his 12 gauge double barrel and 2 Eli paper shells, number 8 shot. Now the story goes, he walks out behind the house with his favorite bird dog. The dog points, bird gets up, he shoots twice and kills 12 birds. So I don't know. It's possible. I kill, no, I'm not going to say how many ducks I killed one shot.
Who, throughout your, just not your hunting career, but your writing career, who are some of the most influential people that you have met in the outdoor industry?
Okay, well, let's go with Bill Robinson. We've hunted with Bill, his character, and of course I told the story about the early morning duck.
Yeah.
And there's Rich Gresham, Bob Brister, Gene Hill. There are others. Of course, one most influential was Archibald Rutledge. I did meet Havel Babcock of Valor. How you want to pronounce it? I met those people. And there are others that I met throughout time now that I'm starting to forget things a little bit, to be honest, that escaped me. But I met so many of them, and so many of them have really been some neat people. And I met most of these people. I'm trying to think. When I went to my first outdoor writers, Callaway Gardens, Georgia, around 1967. And they were all there. Hurley Campbell was there. I believe Joe Brooks was there. The big ones. Because outdoor writing was just starting to catch on. People were really getting into it. And H. Lee Lawrence, yeah. He was big. And there are others I'm trying to think of. I met so many that day, and I was young, and I was just so impressed that they were just I was overwhelmed with all these people that I'd read about for so many years and asking questions and whatnot. And they were very helpful. And they talked to you and didn't shun you or anything. But so yeah, it's
Okay.
as they say, it's been a ride.
You grew up in a restaurant. I grew up in a restaurant family, and both of us, for the most part, love to cook. It's one of the things we just enjoy doing, coming up with new recipes or changing a recipe to fit either ducks or any other type of wild game. But the question was asked, what is your favorite way to prepare wild duck?
Many ways, but I think the last one we did was that instant pot duck with the mushroom sauce. I think that was just the best I've ever in my life fixed. It was just incredible. And I think the instant pot had a lot to do with it. I was a traditionalist for so long. I had to bake and pull it out of the oven and pour the juice over it and make sure it was just right. But I tell you, one time, the best duck I ever had, though, a pair of canvasbacks I shot on the Neuse River. And they'd been on somebody's corn, because when they were cooking, it smelled just like corn on the cob coming out the oven. And the meat fell off the breast. I remember the editor of Outdoor Life had supper with us that night. John Carr. And that's how, because of that meal and something I cooked, Cherry's Jubilee, is how I became the food editor of Outdoor Life magazine over that meal. And he called me and said, how'd you like to cook for me? I said, okay. And I'll bring you up to New York. I said, all right. And I went up there. Met everybody and got accused of being part of the Southern Mafia. And that was a trip.
Now, you mentioned your favorite way to cook ducks, but of all of the ducks that you have shot and have eaten, what is your favorite duck to prepare?
Summer duck, wood duck.
Right.
And that's I can get hold of canvasback. Which it's easy to get hold of summer duck is a canvasback.
Right.
You know, I mean, you gotta do some traveling unless you live in a place. No, the summer duck, you can't beat them. I mean, it's a sweet meat. It's everything you want in a duck.
This is the last question, and this was the absolute most asked question on my channel to ask Papa Duck. And a lot of people want to know, what was it like raising me?
A lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was fun, especially when I took you and left you down in Lake Moultrie for 3 days by yourself. And I came back, and I didn't expect to find you alive. And you had a cooler full of bass, 7, 8, 9 pound fish. And the time I took you and left you down again in Lake Moultrie and left you to duck hunt. And I enjoyed that because there were no ducks. And times I got there, I called in a pair of mallards and killed them in front of you. And I enjoyed that. And no, it was a lot of fun bringing you up. It was, I had a buddy. We did a lot. We went a lot of places together.
Yes, we did.
A lot. You got to see a lot of some of the best duck hunting in the United States.
Dad, I want to thank you for this second interview, so to speak. Just talking about the old days and answering the questions. that my subscribers have sent. I know that they're going to appreciate that. And I've been told on many occasions that they could listen to you for hours and just hear the old stories. One of my subscribers actually wrote and said, that man has done it all. And he's right. You've done a lot of things. Not just the restaurant, but the Marine Corps as a writer has gone all over the country. So anyway, just thanks a lot for joining us out here. Caught a few fish, and we're going to call it a day, guys. We hope to see y'all next time on Daddy Duck 365.